Self-sufficient camper, what does it mean? What it means to me is be able to take your vehicle and all your gear out for an adventure or a holiday, so everything's on board. You don't have to rely on going to get a coffee from the motorway, to get something to eat from the motorway services. It's all on board, so in turn that saves you money. And the more self-sufficient you are, the more money you're going to save in your vehicle, which then allows you to extend your holiday trip or go on more adventures within your time frame of your holiday. So me and my wife, we can go away and we can relax knowing that we have everything on board to keep us happy for the duration. We went to Scotland for 4 to 5 weeks and we stayed in a campsite for 3 nights, which then enabled us to top up our water and use their amenities, and then we're back on the road and then we're self-sufficient again. So depending how you want to plan your vehicle, summer's here now and you're thinking about going away, and you might be thinking about buying a camper or a vehicle such as a car, and you want to go on an excursion. So I wanted to put this video out and explain what I do, and you can combine it with what you do and get a happy medium. The Land Rover's great. It's small, it's compact, it's comfortable, it's got a great payload. If you see somewhere you like and you can't gain access with another vehicle, this vehicle will get you there. So self-sufficiency for me is having a vehicle that can go pretty much anywhere with all your gear on board. The beauty of it is you can go away and save loads and loads of money by being self-sufficient. When I mean self-sufficient, carrying your water, you don't want to be going and buying and paying for water when you can carry your own water on board. You don't want to be going and stopping for coffee in shops, especially some of these coffee brands. They're mega expensive, and I drink a lot of coffee. So that's 2 ways you can save a lot of money. You don't want to be staying in accommodation that you don't know it's going to be comfortable, or the view's not great, or the bed's lumpy, or there's loads of possibilities when you hire a room or a hotel. You never know what you're going to get. When you've got your own vehicle, you know how you're going to sleep because you've slept on that bed multiple times. You know you're going to be comfortable. You know what you're going to be eating. I've been away before camping. We've had our food on board. We've stayed on the road. We thought, well, let's treat ourselves to a meal. We go out for a meal, and hey ho, we get food poisoning. So we're ill for a couple of days. So by being self-sufficient, you eliminate all them possibilities of being uncomfortable or not happy with your accommodation, or you don't like what you're eating and you're paying top dollar for it. So that's what I love about doing this. It's all about the enjoyment, spending as much time as you can outside with as least amount of money as you can throw at it. I'd rather spend that money on the vehicle and the accessories than I would to spend in a restaurant or multiple times in expensive campsites or hotels and B&Bs. But this vehicle has enabled me to access the woodland that I'm in at the moment. Like I said, you can pretty much get anywhere. All my kit is here. So if I was staying here for 3 weeks, I know I would be really, really comfortable in this vehicle. I've got a double bedroom upstairs, as I call it. See, many camper vans and motorhomes haven't got the 2 levels, so I love the downstairs, upstairs option. upstairs is great if you've got a beautiful view. You parked up somewhere, you know, visualize this, you parked up somewhere and there's lakes and mountains which are my favourite, so you can go up there and it's like an observatory. You can just sleep up there and look or read a book or something and you've got all that view. So that's what I like about the rooftop tents. Plus you're well off the ground, you're well insulated. That's a great, you know, a great addition to this vehicle. And downstairs, as I call it, you may laugh, I've got a nice seating area and a sleeping area in there, so you can mix and match. When there's one of you or there's two of you, you can chop and change. I can hold about 50-60 litres of water, and if I do require water, I'll either door knock and ask for that to be topped up, or I'll go into a petrol garage and ask if they can top this up. If they let me top this up, then I'll say, any chance of topping up my bigger water container, which is 20 litres on the side. So then I've got water for nothing. It doesn't cost anything to ask for water, but why pay for it? You know, I know some of you probably like drinking bottled water, but I don't. I can make do. And if you were that worried about the water that you're getting, you could run it through a purifier, which I have in there anyway. As long as you know it's coming off mains pressure when you go around someone's house or a petrol garage, then you know you're fine to access that water, and it hasn't cost you a penny. And water is everything when you're on the road. You know, me and Mrs. Bushwhacker probably drink about 6 to 8 litres a day, and if we take the dog as well, you know, he drinks a couple of litres on top of that, depending on the weather really and how many brews that we have. But don't forget, water is your main necessity for self-reliant camping. I have a 20 litre can on the outside with a great running tap. That's awesome for filling up your kettle and having a wash underneath. And then on the top of the roof rack I can mount another 20 litre jerry can on a plate that I fixed up there. So plenty of places to store water. So next we'll talk about the food aspect of self-sufficiency in a vehicle. We've been away a lot. I have done a lot of camping, and I've been to a lot of different places in the UK and Europe, and it breaks my heart to see people paying top dollar for rubbish food. It really, you know, it really hurts me. I went to a place last year in Scotland along the motorway or somewhere, and there was a farm shop, and they were charging £9 for a pie. And I think if you've got no food on board and you're hungry and you might have children with you, and you go into this shop and everyone's kind of buying these expensive items in this farm shop, you know, herd mentality, 9 times out of 10 you're going to be buying as well. And I see people coming out, they've stopped off, they've been on a long journey, they're quite fatigued, they're hungry, and they have to feed themselves in these expensive shops. So, you know, I went in, had a look, I fancied a pie, but there's no way. You know, I'm not a tight bloke, but I'm careful. No way am I going to pay £8 or £9 for a small pie, and you know, £3-4 for a Coke or coffee or something like that. I just won't do it. So this brings me on to food. If you add up what you do spend from these places and from these restaurants over, say you're going away 3 or 4 weeks, you spend £60-70 roughly a day if you're eating out and getting your food or your drinks. £60-70 between the two of you per day. So if you do the math over, if you're going away say for a month, it's a lot of money, and that's the money you could be putting into your tank for fuel. So, you know, it's up to you. If you've got bags of money and you want to keep eating in these places, it's nice now and again as a luxury, but you can carry luxury items on board. You know, bread and some filling for the bread to make a sandwich, instead of going in and paying top dollar for a sandwich. Well, it's down to you, but I won't do it. That's why I wanted to kind of put this video out explaining you can go away really cheap, or you can go away mega expensive, and we'll both have the same time and adventure, but it will cost that person a lot more money than it cost me. You know, a lot of people think camping, you're gonna eat really rough food, you're gonna eat like a pauper or a nomad or whatever. You don't need to eat like that. You could pop into the supermarket once or twice a week and get some lovely steaks, some sausages and that, and do some great barbecues. My food stores in here, I'm going to buy, because of the warmer weather, I'm thinking about buying either a cool box or a fridge. I've got a cool bag which I load up with frozen items before we start the trip, with ice blocks, and that lasts us, depending on the temperature, it can last up to a week, or it can last like a couple of days. So you've got to be clever with your planning for food. But you know, if you keep it in the shade and you've got a half decent cool bag or cool box, you can keep food a long time. So you can have all your meats on board, fresh milk, you know, all your eggs, your breads, all on board. In here I tend to keep a lot of dry food, you know, tin food, because it doesn't go off, it keeps. Long life bread, they're in the containers. In this vehicle at the moment I haven't loaded up because I'm not doing a trip, but I'd say I've got around a couple of weeks worth of food. You know, soups in here, beans, all tin goods in here, chopped tomatoes, fruit cocktail, rice pudding, tins of tuna. See, that's a lovely meal on the road if you like tuna. A couple of long life rolls and some butter, a little bit of salad cream I like, and an onion, and you got yourself, you know, a lovely tuna sandwich. So that's one option. You know, beans, everyone likes beans. What's wrong with a beans on toast? If you're hungry or you've been on the road and you want to stop in a lay-by, what's wrong with knocking up a little beans on toast or soup and toast, which costs you next to nothing? But like I said, I haven't loaded the vehicle up. This is stuff that always kind of stays in here. Things like this, long life rolls, you just heat them up and you have lovely crispy rolls, and you can make all sorts of sandwiches and that from them. No refrigeration required. But when we go away for a longer trip, I'll be stacking these 2 baskets up as well with food. So on the road, eating really well, I reckon we could load this up for a month. Eating quite poorly in this vehicle, I think you could probably do 3 months with what we had in here. You know, rices, pastas, sweet corn soups, things like that. But you know, it's how you want to play it. But definitely don't get ripped off down the expensive route of travelling on the road. So leading on from the actual food aspect, cooking, same again, don't pay for loads of coffees, make your own. So we've got a Cadac 2-burner electric ignition hob that lives in the landy all the time, so we tend to use that for brews and soups and quick cook ups, heating the rolls up on that hot plate up there. So it's a very practical little stove, and then when the better weather comes like it is now, I can bring that outside and we can cook outside on it if there's not a huge amount of wind. So very versatile piece of kit, very light as well. It used to have a back on it, but I took the back off so it fits in there really good. If you've been following my channel for a while, then you know I love cooking outside. So any outdoor fire grill is perfect for cooking outside. So you've got two possibilities: indoor cooking inside your vehicle, and then when the weather's nice or you're under cover, outdoor cooking. I tend to carry in my trasharoo bag. I'm quite a resourceful person. I try to be as resourceful as possible. So if I'm camping somewhere in a woodland or something, I might pick up some wood and put it in my trasharoo bag. I carry lump wood as well, or charcoal. Any of them coals are awesome for cooking on. Always carry some of them. They're really quick and easy. You can stop off and get yourself a burger or something like that. It depends how far you want to go with your cooking. If it's a quick stop, you can do that. And I always think, well, I'm saving money because I haven't stopped on the motorway, so that evening I'm gonna have a really nice meal. So let's crack open a steak and a jacket potato or something like that. It's a gorgeous meal on the road. But later on I might do kind of a series of what me and Mrs. B cook on the road, so you can get some idea for yourself, and maybe you can share some recipes with us, because I love sharing on YouTube, like I say on my other channel. That's why I started YouTube, because it's just a sharing, caring community. I think some great people on there and some great knowledge. So I'm tending to try and share as much of what I've learned with you guys, and what winds me up, is people getting ripped off on the road, and so many people are ripped off. So alongside the wood aspect, we carry gas, 2 3.9 kilo propane bottles. They're very useful for our indoor cooking and outdoor cooking on that stove. That's a perfect place to keep that bottle. 3.9 kilos of gas, cooking one meal and a few brews lasts us about 2 to 3 weeks. So you get a lot out of a little bottle, and if you're combining that with your wood prep as well, you can draw one of them bottles out for a month. So 2 of them in there will last you for a good road trip. And obviously if you want to be cheaper, get the bigger bottles. And my secondary bottle that I'm using now is under the vehicle, so that's all rigged up to my Cadac 2-burner stove. So like now, let's just go through a little scenario. We've been on the road 4 or 5 hours, you're quite tired and you want to stop off for a coffee. So what I do, grab me kettle, fill it up with water, which I haven't paid for, and I'll whack that on the gas, which doesn't cost you an arm and a leg. Or if you want to be really cheap and save money, if you're planning on a long-term trip, either get a Kelly kettle or heat it over a fire pit. So that brew's on now. That's cost me pence. Now the guy next to me in his camper, he's gone in and bought 2 Costa coffees, and that's cost him £6, and it's cost me pence. So you can see the result of being self-sufficient in your camper just by having a bit of water, having a jar of coffee, and the facilities to heat that water up. And it's far more enjoyable. And at the present climate, you've got to get out your vehicle, out your camper, you've got to put your mask on, and you've got to go into a shop that at the moment I feel there's no atmosphere or anything in shops, so I'd rather be in my vehicle making myself a nice cup of coffee of my choice, of my brand of coffee, than putting myself in a situation that I don't like. So another advantage about being self-sufficient in your camper. So I hope you're finding the video interesting. If you're interested in anything you see on this Land Rover, me and the good lady are building a website with all the gear that we've installed on the Land Rover, all the bits and pieces. We're going to do like gear reviews and things like that, so you can get an honest opinion. You know, I'm quite a straight, honest guy. You can get an honest opinion to the product, an in-depth kind of review from me before you purchase. There tends to be a lot of companies out there and reviews of products, and you know, they're not completely true. So you know you're going to get a good review from me if it's tried and tested by me, then you know it's half decent. I want to talk to you about the comfort side of your rig, of your camper, or whatever you call it. Depending on your age, when you're younger, you can rough it a little bit more. I know me and Mrs. B, we used to sleep in the back of cars and things like that. So I've roughed it with the best of them, and sleeping in, you know, really poor quality tents and things like that. But that's great when you're young. It's a great experience, and it kind of leads you and connects you into the outdoors. But as you get a bit older, you want a bit more luxury, you want a bit more comfort. And a lot of people look at smaller campers or cars even as really roughing it with no comfort, where I tend to disagree. You know, I have had a couple of really luxurious motorhomes, and I think the Landy, you know, is far more, not as far more, but as comfortable as a expensive motorhome. And if you do own a vehicle, it doesn't have to be a Land Rover. Definitely get yourself a hammock to put inside, and a good tying point. I've tied mine to my ladder rack, so that just gives you one tie-up point, which I've got on a tree here. So I've got the Landy and a tree, and I've got myself a great sitting area and sleeping area if it's gorgeous weather like this. I'm not camping tonight, I'm just coming up for the day, but you know, I'd be more than happy to chuck a sleeping bag in here and spend the night, and knowing that you're going to be really comfortable and you've got all your facilities just behind you. That's what I love. You know, I love the passion of this, and building a camper or a vehicle where you're going to enjoy the outdoors. That's what it's all about. Travelling around, seeing beautiful places, staying on the road as long as you can, having so many adventures, and it's not costing you the earth. Inside the vehicle is a comfy sofa. It's just some old cushions that we had from an existing sofa from indoors, and we covered them and made up some pillows, and that is a lovely seating area. So this is awesome comfort. You've been on a long drive, you've been on the road for a while, and you can just come in the back of the Landy and you can just sit on this great sofa, lean back, grab one of your cushions like so, and you've got great comfort. And this conversion inside the Land Rover was just bits and pieces me and the good lady put together, and it didn't cost us a huge amount of money. I think the whole lot in here cost us about £100, just bits of wood and bits we had indoors, and thought we'd build this, make it really comfortable. So like I said, the older you get, you like a bit more comfort, and this is great in here, and it's a lovely bed to sleep on. You know, Mrs. B sleeps down here a lot on this bed. I've slept down here. I'm gonna check my other videos out. I was camping the other week and laying on this bed. It's gorgeous comfort. And then I'll take you upstairs, as I call it, and I'll show you the rooftop tent. So that is ultimate comfort up there. Fully waterproof, twin skinned, easy to put up, and you're totally self-sufficient with that. You can park anywhere, and it takes the footprint of the vehicle, so you can go anywhere. I love wild camping, so I can kind of go away and wild camp or stealth camp and put that up late at night or when it gets dark. But the telescopic ladder that lives in that tent, I put it in a bag. You just get up, get the bag down, erect the ladder, clip it in, lovely and safe. You know, once that ladder's clipped in, that's not moving anywhere left or right. It's a solid ladder. You've got 3 access points to this tent, so depending on where you've parked, you can gain access into it. But awesome in comfort. There's nothing worse than going camping and you're not comfortable, you're not getting a good night's sleep, because you're not going to enjoy it, and you're going to be miserable the next day, and then the whole experience, the whole adventure on the road is just going to be a miserable one. My advice is to get yourself a good quality tent, depending on the amount you're going to be doing. You know, the soft shells are good. I've had a soft shell. It's a great tent, but depending on what you're doing, we travelled a lot in Scotland. It was a case of putting it up, putting it down, because we moved on pretty much every other day or every day, so it's a lot of work. And if the weather's bad, you don't want to be outside for 15-20 minutes wrapping the thing up, and then another 15-20 minutes when you pull up erecting the tent, where this is ultimate comfort, ultimate ease of use. So great purchase. Sometimes I spend quite a bit of time just sitting in here rather than downstairs, you know, because you've just got that extra bit of vision. But this is a comfortable tent, really comfortable. It's a hot day today, and up here, because of the insulation, it's really cool. You know, I've got all the openings open, but the breeze is coming through, and the insulation, you'd think being a black tent that it'd be absorbing all the heat and it'd be like a sweat box in here, but it's so cool. And being that bit higher up, you are capturing more of that breeze, so it's a lovely place to be. It's a lovely, you know, it's a lovely place to wake up in the mornings. So don't go spending huge amounts of money on hotels and B&Bs. Get yourself a vehicle with a nice rooftop tent, and you know, look at that view. Imagine waking up to that in the mornings, and your good lady's bringing you up a coffee. And when you're up here, I get up at night, you know, a couple of times. I drink quite a bit of coffee. So what I do now is I bring a little kind of container up here when it's bad weather or when it's cold, so I can, you know, go for a number 1 in the tent, so I don't have to come out. There's nothing worse. All the heat's built up in here because it stays lovely and warm. You're opening the doors and you've got to go out in bad conditions, and if you get up twice, oh, there's nothing worse. I love all these little bits that just make your life comfortable and really enjoyable. Just a piece of plastic, and it saves you getting freezing cold and wet and having to warm this whole tent up again through your body heat. It's lovely in the summer, it's no problem, but you know, the last trip I done in here, we had 28 hours of rain, and there was no way I was getting out of this tent. It was just too bad. Driving rain, and you open a door and the rain's just, it's going to come in. So definitely take something up with you. But that's definitely what I'm talking about. That is a great piece of kit for your vehicle. Brilliant for travelling, or you're in a public place and you've got to go. There's nothing worse than wanting to go to the toilet and you don't feel comfortable. So that's how I know I'm in a good place, when you can go to the toilet and you're not worried about being seen. You know you're in a great place when you can just go freely. But that is a necessity for up there in bad conditions. Power's very important when you're on the road. So I have a solar panel which supplies my power unit. I don't have a split charge system in the van. I was going to go down that route but decided against it, as I prefer portable power. Split charge system, really expensive. You know, I've had a few quotes and they're mega money, but I like this system. I can take it out of here. I might want to camp down there and I can take the whole unit and the solar panel down to another area. I might want to camp on the beach and I want some power down on the beach. I'm not restricted to power in the vehicle. I can be somewhere, you know, and go and charge from someone's premises. That's the beauty of a portable power station, power generator. They're lovely and quiet as well. My unit is a Jackery. Like I said, check all this out on my website. I have several power packs that I use, but the Jackery Explorer 500 is great for overlanding. It charges from their solar panel that comes with the kit, charges from the car, charges from mains. So there's lots of ways to get power back into that unit, and it's got a built-in inverter as well, so you can run small electrical appliances off of it, you know, laptops, razors, things like that, so which enables you to be self-sufficient on the road. That's where the unit lives, in the center console. I'll plug it into the cigarette lighter, so whenever you're driving you're charging, and then you stop off and then out with the solar panel. The beauty of this system as well, you can put power into it and draw from it. Great system. But you don't have to spend that amount of money. You know, I haven't had power packs for a long time. I used to use a leisure battery. So I had a leisure battery in this vehicle when I went to Scotland, and I spent 5 weeks in Scotland on a leisure battery and never charged it. So it was perfect. So you don't have to have a power pack like that. Go down the cheaper route and buy a leisure battery. But as I'm doing it more and more, and you know, and running more and more electrical bits and pieces, I felt that, you know, I needed the power unit like that one. But that was my worry in Scotland, was, are we going to run out of power? and eventually I might want to run a fridge as well, so that's going to draw even more power from the unit. So good investment for self-sufficiency. A power unit or a split charge system is a must in your vehicle, in my opinion. You know, some people get away with next to nothing, but you still got to charge your torches and bits and pieces. So you know, you could go down the small power pack route. That's great, that solar panel position there. Not only am I getting free energy, but it's keeping the sun rays from the front window, so it's keeping the truck nice and cool inside. So it's serving two purposes. Another aspect being on the road is how do you stay clean. The weather's nice, you know, like this, you're going to be showering more, you're going to get hot and sticky depending on what you're doing. So what I like to do, I use like baby wipes. These are great. Just, you know, you're hot and sticky, you can just have a wipe down, keep yourself nice and clean. They're lovely and fresh, they stay cool when they're moist, so they're great. But don't forget, don't use the same one for downstairs and upstairs. Top tip there. So these are lovely. And then if I'm really, you know, it's after about 4 or 5 days, you know, I can go 4 or 5 days just by using these. And then after that, what I'll do is I'll boil some water in the Land Rover, hot and cold mix, or if you're near a river or a lake, you can always jump in the river or lake and have a wash. Or if it's really warm, go out when it's showering and have a wash, or collect the water from the lake or the river and boil it. This is what I do. Fill that up, and then I put that in here in my like privacy shower and have a strip wash with that, and you come out really clean, really nice and refreshed. This is great for being self-sufficient on the road. You know, not only can you wash in it, you can get changed in there, you can go for a number 2 in there. You can either dig a hole in the ground underneath, or you can take a bag or something with you, depending on how you do it. Same again, you can be as luxurious or as primitive as you want with being on the road, where it doesn't bother me digging a hole and having a number 2 in places, or using public toilets. But same again, if you start using up facilities like showers and toilets, you're charged for it. So depending on what you want to do and how long you're going for, and you know, during long trips like our Scotland trip that we went on, we used to stay in campsites. I said we stayed in 3 campsites, so then I'd use their facilities as I'm paying for it. So I have a nice shower then. But there's nothing wrong with a collapsible bucket that takes no room, that you can just heat a bit of water up and have a strip wash. And also what I've got for this as well is a pump shower, so I can do the same, heat some hot cold mix and pump the shower, and you get a nice shower effect in there, which is lovely, beautiful. But lovely and roomy in here, and it's got reflective sides, so it kind of traps the steam. So perfect for self-sufficiency on the road. And like I said, if you want to get dressed or something outside, you can just dive in here. You've been down for a swim or something, you want to put some fresh clothes on and you're dripping wet, you just come in here and get changed. Great zip there, so you can access, I can access inside the vehicle. So showering on the road, keeping clean. So tools for self-sufficiency in your Land Rover. I have many tools in there, but the 2, you know, I use the most because I like outdoor fires, is a good forest axe, good quality axe. So that lives in there all the time for wood processing. Like I said, it's all about being out for a long time, saving money, and if you've got wood available, then it's brilliant for processing wood and doing your cook-ups and making brews and costing you no money at all. And to accompany that, you might be going to places that are quite remote. It's good to have a saw. This is a Boreal 21. This lives in the Land Rover all the time. Really compact saw, folds down as you can see, doesn't take up no space, and awesome for cutting timber. So Boreal 21, great saw to have in your camper. So easy to store, and that's it. And you've got a great cutting tool on the road, great for processing wood for my Atago. So that lives in your vehicle, so another way of keeping self-sufficient on the road. If this is going to be your primary source of fuel, if you're going to a forested area for a number of weeks, then it's great to have these two. They both accompany each other really well. We both were planning to go to Sweden last year, but obviously because of the restrictions we couldn't go. But these two tools would have been perfect for our wilderness. We're going to do the wilderness trail in Sweden, so any obstacles in our way with wood debris we could have cleared with these two tools. But you can't beat camping in a wilderness place or a remote place with an open fire. I think there's something really special about it. So, you know, when you're planning loading your vehicle out and you want to be self-sufficient, them two tools are going to really pay dividends in your vehicle. And sitting around a fire on a chilly night with the stars out and you're cooking a couple of bangers, it's great experience. This is predominantly all my cookware, you know, eliminating the few pots and pans that we use for inside. But I've got a Dutch oven which is on now, which I'm doing a lovely stew in. So the Dutch oven on board, you can do a manner of different cook-ups in that. And the beauty of this fire pit, that the Dutch oven can sit in there. I've got a heavy duty carbon steel frying pan, lightweight and really heavy duty. You can put that on a fire and give it a lot of abuse. So that's a great frying pan for outside and inside cooking. A pie iron, cast iron. It's quite weighty for your vehicle, but it's well worth the wait. Do toasted sandwiches, pies in there, you can do desserts in there. So that's great, that can go on the fire or on your coals. I do like carrying that in the Land Rover. And this other ribbed frying pan is great for steaks and pies. I like using that as well. Nice large steak in there with a rib effect. So it's pretty much the cookware that I carry in the vehicle to be self-sufficient. And like I said, don't waste your money going to restaurants. Get out there and be inventive and get yourself a duchy, because these are awesome, lovely to cook on. So the key to good camping is good cooking. I'm doing a chicken stew at the moment, although it's not the weather for chicken stew, but it smells lovely. So me and Mrs. B, we can go away and we can relax knowing that we have everything on board. But I started camping years ago. Me and Mrs. B had a camper in the early days and we toured round, and that kind of started me into the kind of camper van scene, and then we moved up from there. We got a bigger motorhome, or a 20-foot motorhome. We drove to Turkey, which was an awesome experience, all through Bulgaria, Romania, and down into Turkey, across the Bosphorus. It was an amazing trip, and that kind of got me into this vehicle self-sufficiency, stay on the road, save money kind of attitude. And then we came back from there, and we saved up and we bought a 27-foot Eldis Emperor with like an M bedroom, huge walk-in roof on the top, and we took that to Portugal and toured around Portugal and Spain. That was awesome. So again, I progressed, we became more and more self-sufficient in a vehicle. And then after that, we bought a smaller vehicle because of the expense of staying in campsites where they would be charging us 2 pitches and things like that. Because of the length of the vehicle, it became really expensive. It became really awkward, especially in this country. It was too large really, because I like going down unexplored places and things like that, and with a vehicle like that you never know if the road's going to be too narrow, or it's going to be a dead end, or oncoming traffic. So that swayed me to where I am today. Well, just before this, we had a Volkswagen Transporter. That was a nice vehicle, had a pop-top roof and bits and pieces, and that enabled us to go to more remote places. But a couple of times, we got stuck, and there's places we thought, oh, we couldn't go because of the van had been, the van's quite low, and it had been lowered as well, low profile tyres. So, but it was a beautiful vehicle. All the vehicles I've owned, they've all had their assets. I've enjoyed all of them. Chicken stew dumplings. Oh! So that's what you'll be when you're on the road and it's not costing you a great deal of money and you're really enjoying yourself. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found a few bits useful, and if you got any tips yourself, don't forget to share them with me, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers, guys.